Hello everyone, hope you're right. In today's video, I'm going to show you how my garden is doing in the month of October. So we are officially in fall now and the garden has started to take on fall colors and fall textures. So you can see the garden is looking lush and bright thanks to all the rains we are getting. We have got loads and loads of rain this year and it made it up for all the dry spells last year and year before last year. These containers with junipers in them and clipping frogs, they are looking good. Lobelias are starting to die now, producing seeds, but they have lots of evergreen interest. Archway is looking good. I'm happy with the transformation I did. I do want to take all the grass out between these slabs and put the stones there. The climbing plants alongside the arches are doing really well. This is my climbing rose and it has grown a lot this year and it's still producing birds, and this grapevine has done beautifully. It is covering most of the arch on its side and you can see all the fences and violas in there. They are self-sown. Coleus has performed really beautifully this year for me. Begonias are looking beautiful and vibrant. I planted some primroses which I have had in the containers in spring and then I transplanted them here. This royalty coleus is my favorite. So this is the main plant from where I took the cuttings and they have done so well. So I'm trying to overwinter some again this year. Our strawberry bed is looking great. I'm propagating more strawberry plants from strawberry runners and I have got a video on my channel where I have discussed in detail how to propagate strawberry plants for free. So I will include the link in the description box in case you want to check out. This Esclonia bush is doing really well. It has grown huge. I do need to do a lot of trimming on it. And so as this lilac bush, they have starting to drop leaves as well. They are kind of semi-evergreen. And here is my pathway of concrete slabs I put earlier in spring. It's looking really beautiful with all the box plants I planted around this circle. I want them to be in a hedge. This raised bed I tried to sow spinach seeds 2 times, but I think birds keep eating them. And these are my strawberry plants which I'm propagating. There are radish plants in the next raised bed. I don't think they will produce radish for me for now. Something is eating on them. There are loads and loads of holes in the leaves, and this pumpkin vine, the same story. It's try to produce 4 to 5 pumpkins, but something is eating. So they ate the whole baby fruit they produced. You can see here, and they are even eating the flowers. So I think this was the last try. I tried to grow pumpkins. I tried to grow them last year as well. They don't perform for me, so I'm not going to grow them again. Here is a new transformation I did. I have got these concrete square slabs because this is quite a big corner and I wanted to have some interest here as well. And I planted my evergreen conifer tree in here. This is my plum tree. It produced few delicious plums for me. And this red robin photonia has grown huge. It needs trimming as well, but it has lots of interest and spring interest. Schemia bush still small, but it is looking good, and this Amelanchian tree is looking so beautiful with its fall colored leaves. It has lots of fall and winter and spring interest. Again, red robin photonia. This one is a bit smaller. I need to do trimming on it. My chrysanthemums are blooming really beautifully. There's fuchsia behind it, which is still small. I think I will transplant it in the front yard where I can see it better. This container has performed really well for me. I'm loving this container. It has like lots of focal interest, and impatiens performed really well for me this year. This container I have got scabiosa in there which overwinter very well, so I'm going to take them out and plant them in the garden. Lavenders are starting to send another flush of flowers now. Hydrangeas, I planted 3 or 4 this year and they are doing good. They did not produce flowers for me this year, but next year hopefully. Another schemia bush, this one is much bigger, and there is rose bush hanging over it, and this hukra patch is really beautiful. I planted all my hukras in here and I'm loving this, the color and textures in this small patch. Apple trees are starting to drop their leaves as well. I do need to do a lot of pruning on them. So these trees and shrubs were already in the garden. They are huge. I do need to do a lot of trimming on them to keep them in shape. I planted these dahlias and they were so late. I gave up all the hope that they would bloom for me, but then they started blooming in late September and they are doing well now. So I'm thinking to move them in some other part of the garden where they will receive more sunshine and will bloom beautifully. Salvias are sending another flush of growth, and overall the garden is doing really well. There is like lots of plants going on. There are lots of flowers, hydrangea there, and these are hostas which have been covered by dianthus. They are still small plants, so within 2 or 3 years they will be big and beautiful. This rhododendron has grown a lot as well since we moved into this house. It was suffering, so I hope that it will be much better next year. This is my beautiful little patch where I have got all these coleus and begonias. They have done so well. I can't really believe how beautiful they looked all summer. So this is my go-to plants for next year: begonias, impatiens, and coleus for sure, and I will try to overwinter them. These cyclamens are subs on here. I don't know, they were already here, so I moved them in this place, so they are coming back nicely. And this tree, this is my favorite tree in my garden, this maple tree. It has beautiful canopy and color and texture, so garden is doing really well. Taken into account this was just the first year and I did not have a good idea of the sunlight and where is it shady, how what kind of soil it is, and what kind of weather. Weather is really unpredictable in UK anyway. I just did my hanging baskets again, so I have got ivy in there, and I replaced the petunias with primroses now, so they are looking neat and tidy. This container is doing well as well. I have got all larogoniums in this container, which I will try to overwinter, and there is this nasturtium vine which is self-sown, and earlier it was eaten by caterpillars, but now it is doing really well. So going into fall and taking into account the kind of weather we have had, the plants are still performing really well for me. And these containers, they are just hodgepodge of different plants. I have got chilies in there and cucumbers which I took out. And this container also did very good this year, and I have got this hardy in there which had like lots of focal interest, and camellia which I need to move out in the front yard. Bean plants did really well for me, so I'll be growing more beans next year. There are dwarf beans, and there is like red ruby scarlet bean. I am trying to collect some seeds as well. Coming into front yard, it is doing really well as well. I have got these conifers in there, which one of them I pruned hard this summer and it is starting to produce new growth. I have got these heather plants in here, and this tree is dead, so I need to take it out and plant something else in here. And I have got sedum which bloomed really beautifully. It's still small plant, and you can imagine when they will be nice and big with all the blooms, they will look absolutely beautiful. Some of the plants are producing second flush of blooms. This is my standard rose tree, and this is my cherry tree. They will take some time to establish. Rudbeckia are doing absolutely well. It has been blooming like this since August. And this bay tree which I pruned hard this summer, and it is starting to recover now. These containers are doing absolutely well. I had chili and aubergine plants in containers here, which I have now moved, and now I have got these containers. Impatiens did really well, and these are my go-to plants for next year. I will plant more and more impatiens and lobelias and will repeat this combination. Hanging baskets are doing really well, and there's lots of evergreen plants in there which I'm liking, and I think this will be go-to now to have some evergreen plants in the hanging baskets. This creeping phlox is doing well as well. It blooms in summer and it is evergreen, so lots of interest there as well. And I'm liking all the containers in my front yard. They are like the focal interest. I can repeat, or I can replace some plants which don't do as well as I want them to. This echinacea plant I started from bare root and is blooming now. Here is honeysuckle vine which I want it to climb on this palm tree. Palm tree is absolutely beautiful, and if honeysuckle climbs on it, and it is really fragrant, so I think it will be a beautiful display. This container again is doing really well. I have got all sorts of plants in here, and I think this is my winner container in my garden. These Rinka vines are starting to climb now, and this container is looking good as well. Behind is my climbing rose, which I'm trying to train up this trellis. And here is another hanging basket doing well. Going into side yard, I have got more plants. It's a small patch next to the side street. I have got Sunathus there, which has grown huge, and this Yarrow Achillea plant, it's done marvelous. This plant is just bloomed its head off. It's still blooming and it is doing really well. I think it's liking spot here. The climbing rose behind again on the trellis. So climbing roses all started from bare roots. They have done really well. They have put on loads of growth, and they are still producing last flush of flowers. This thing, I don't know what is it. It just self appeared. I think the previous owners would have planted it, and my forget me nots and creepy frogs are doing really well. This butterfly bush has grown a lot, but I did not like the blooms, so I'm thinking to replace it with something else. This dogwood is grown huge. I do need to do a lot of trimming on it. It is starting to produce berries, so I think there will be lots of winter interest. I do need to trim it. It's taking over the whole patch, and it is like lemony yellow leaves with lots of interest in there. I have got this forsythia which I started from bare root. I will see next year in spring how it does for me. It is growing in all directions. And I have got this little patch where I will plant some creeping or ground covers. So overall, the plants have done really well for me this year. They have grown huge in size, and I hope they will do even better next year. So these are my hanging baskets which I want to replenish, I would say. So I bought these in spring on discounted price, and they had primroses in there. I did some feeding on them, and they bloomed beautifully in spring for me. Then I placed the primroses with impatiens and petunias and nobelias in summer. Then they looked absolutely beautiful throughout the summer and bloomed beautifully. Now you can see the petunias are done, they are producing seeds. Nobelias are done, they are producing seeds. Impatiens and begonias are still trying to go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to replace the petunias and lobelias, the plants which are done, with primroses, and I'm going to clean up these baskets. I got these primroses on a discounted price recently, but they are not looking really good. So I'm not sure whether they will survive or not, but I'm going to give it a try. I have some primroses in my garden as well, which I can dig out and put them basket here. So I have got some evergreens like standard plants in there, conifers, which I will leave, and ivy vine and the borage vine I will leave in there, and I will just dig out the plants which are done. So it is really nice and easy way to keep going with your hanging baskets. Hanging baskets have a lot of interest in the garden. They are like vertical gardening, and you can use all the space which you have in your garden by hanging the baskets or the containers along the fences or the walls. They look absolutely beautiful and just attract the eye. So but they are expensive to buy from the gardening centers or nurseries. So if you plant your own, you can save a lot of money and you can bring a lot of interest in your garden, which I like to do. So I like to plant my own hanging baskets, but sometimes it can be tricky to plant a good hanging basket which will bring a lot of interest. So I got these on discounted price, like half price in spring, and then I went through with them in spring and summer, and now I can take them through the autumn and winter as well. So just replacing one or two plants with the plants in the season, you can take them throughout the year, and you can get most out of them. So it's nice and easy, and you can plant your own with all the, sometimes we plant all the annual plants in there, and I think that's tricky, because if you just plant annuals in there, like in summer you plant all begonias or all impatiens or petunias, they have like short lifetime. So after 2 3 months they will be torn, and your hanging basket will be a waste, and you will have to replace all the plants. But if you have one evergreen as a centerpiece, and you have some climbing vines like ivy or borage, they are really good, they are evergreen, they need very little maintenance, then you have lots of interest in there, and you can just place the annuals with the ones that are in this season, like spring or summer or fall. So I think this is the way which I found out this share, and it worked really well for me, and I think this will be my strategy from now on. So what I did, I just took the plants out which I wanted to take out, and I replenished the compost with a little bit of fertilizer, which is for bloodfish and bone, so it has all nutrients in there. And now I'm going to plant my primroses in there, which I bought on discounted price. They are not looking really good, so I'm just trying to take the dead bits out, and then I will plant them in there. I will add a little bit of compost as well. So this way, with a little, effort and a little investment, you can go a long way. If you want, you can take the whole thing out from the hanging basket, replenish all the compost, and then plant the new things like again. But I think I will try this way first, see how it goes through fall and winter and spring, and if I need to, I will replace the whole thing in next spring. So with just, 10 to 15 pounds, you can use the hanging basket throughout the year. So I dug one or two primroses from my garden, which I had in containers in spring. So after they were done blooming in summer, I planted them in my garden. They were like in the garden, not blooming, but like still growing, and now they're starting to grow again. I'm not really sure how well they grow in fall, like fall and spring weather is kind of similar, like temperature wise, or the amount of rain you get. But still, because in fall plants are, trying to take rest, so they are preparing to take rest. So the plants which bloom in fall or in winter, they not bloom as profusely as the ones that bloom in spring or summer. So you need to take this thing into account. They will bloom, but not as profusely or as abundantly the ones that in spring or summer. So it's more like keeping the baskets neat and tidy, rather than expecting them to bloom as well as they did in spring or summer. It's more like you are taking the dead things out and you are keeping them neat and tidy so they will look good. So one basket is done, and I'm going to do the next basket. I will do the same thing with my other hanging baskets and the containers, so they look neat and tidy throughout fall and winter as well. So basket is done, and while I was replenishing it, I thought I could propagate this borage vine as well, and it is really easy to propagate. So I have taken a seed tray, and I'm filling it with multi-purpose compost, which is nice and loose. And after filling it, I will take some cuttings. So I will show how to take the cuttings and from where you need to take it. Then I will just put my cutting in the soil, and I will keep it in my house in a windowsill where they will receive some sunlight. So hopefully within a few weeks they will produce new plants for me, which I can use them as climbers in other hanging baskets or containers. So this thing grew huge during the summer, and it produced like a long string of plants. So it's like, strawberry runners. So there is main string from where the new plants are growing. So I cut this string and there are nodules at the bottom from where the roots will grow. So all I need to do, cut the string at the point where the new baby plant starts, and at the bottom there are root nodules which I'm sticking at the soil. So I'm trying to stick them as it is, but if they don't stay in place, then I will use the hairpins to keep them in place. So because it grew huge, and then some of the plants at the bottom started to die back. So I'm trying to take the cuttings from the bottom where some plants died back. So you can see here, this is the string and there are two plants still attached to it. Some are already died back. So this is all you need to do to take the borage cuttings. It's really nice and easy to grow. It has lots of, interest throughout the year. It is a beautiful spiller to be used in containers and hanging baskets. So first I was trying to put the plant on top of the soil, but they kept moving. So then I have got these hairpins which I will open and just stick to the um, plant throughout the soil, that they have some support and they just don't move around. So I took 8 to 9 cuttings and I have got them in this container. They are already looking so beautiful, and this will replenish the main plant as well, because we have now taken the dead bits out of it and it was like hanging really low. So it has to feed all the plants down the string, which was hard for this plant in this small space. So now, because I have taken the extra burden out of it, I hope that this will grow well now, and I will have more borage plants to use next year in my planting combinations. So while I took some cuttings and planted them in the seed tray, I thought I have spaces in my containers where I can plant them directly. So this container, I have got creeping frogs in there, and at the back I had lobelias in there in the summer, which did really well. But I think if I plant something evergreen like creeping frogs is evergreen and blooms in summer. If I plant borage in here, it will bring more texture to the container, and difference in texture and color will make it more attractive. So all I'm doing is like take 1 or 2 cuttings from borage like I did, and just taking them in the container, and hopefully they will grow well and hang down the container, so it will look absolutely beautiful. So there is like juniper plant in this container as a centerpiece, which I'm trying to train as topiary, and underneath I have got creeping frogs and then these borage. So I think this will be a beautiful combination for a year-round container. In late September, I got this beautiful harvest of my kiwi berries, which are hardy kiwi, and they are not like the fuzzy kiwi we buy from store. So first time this year, my kiwi vine produced kiwi berries. And earlier I tried them in August or in the beginning of September. They were not fully ripe, so they did not taste anything. But now they are soft and they are so juicy and tasty. Absolutely yummy. Absolutely yummy. I will recommend 100% that if you want to grow your own kiwis, go for hardy kiwi vine. It does take long, long time to ripe. You can harvest them at the end of September, but once you harvest them, they are absolutely delicious. You can use them in all kind of fruit salads. They are very easy to maintain, and after 4 years, this is the first time I have got this harvest. So next year I hope that I will get even bigger harvest, and they were so juicy, so tasty, so yummy. I can't really recommend enough. So I'm really happy with all this harvest. So I hope you enjoyed watching the tour of my garden and me planting my hanging baskets and containers and this little harvest of kiwi berries. Thank you very much for watching today. Please like and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of my gardening videos. Thank you very much for watching today. See you next time. Bye.